Alright guys, so we are looking, before we only were looking at systems with two equations, okay? And especially Algebra 1, we were looking at systems with two linear equations. So we were looking for that one point where they intersected. So either graphically, substitution, or elimination. And lines are just one-dimensional. But today, we're going to solve systems with three variables. So you will need three equations. Graphically, you are looking for intersections of all three, and these are planes. So instead of lines, we're talking about planes because we're talking about three-dimensional. Of course, planes are what? Are they one, two, or three-dimensional? They're two-dimensional. Planes are two-dimensional. It takes two planes intersecting to make it three-dimensional. Okay? Alright guys, so, and what we have here, if you look, these are different scenarios you can have with your planes. So here's three planes. This would be a no solution. They're not intersecting at all. Right here, you have two solutions, 3, and 1. I'm trying to determine this one here, how many solutions we may have. Some say 4, but I don't think we can't have 4. So I believe this is 3. Alright. You will not have to graph these because there's no way. But here's one example on using elimination in a substitution. So as you can see, now we're dealing with x, y, z, correct? And that's why we have 1, 2, 3 equations. The first step, they're going to take one of the equations and multiply it by something, so when you add it to the other two equations, it eliminates. So we're trying to eliminate one of the three variables. In this case, they're taking the second equation and they're multiplying it by -3. And this is the result right here. Okay? And so what they did in step 2 is they added equation 1 and 2 to eliminate z, and they added equations 2 and 3. So here's that new equation 2. Right? So if I wanted to, I could say, so we have equation 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Here's equation 1 and 2, and here's equation 3 and 2. Alright, so you can see when they do that, no more z. Got rid of the z. So now you're to what you should be used to from Algebra 1, you're left with a linear equation, so with x's and y's. And step 3, they solve the system of two equations that you found in step 2. So these two equations are right here. Now here's the crazy part. So far it's not too crazy, it's okay. But if you look down here, now we're trying to eliminate either the x or y, and they're trying to eliminate the y's first. Well, to do that, you have to have the coefficient. Remember what coefficients are? The numbers being multiplied to the variable. The coefficients of y need to be opposites. One needs to be a negative, and one needs to be a positive. So when you add them, they equal 0. Alright, so they multiply that top equation here by 2. No biggie. So if you notice, the coefficient of y is -10. So they're trying to get the coefficient of y in the second equation to be a +10. To do that, they had to divide by 4, so they divided each one of these by 4. So 12 divided by 4 was 3x. Negative 8y divided by 4 is negative 2x. And then negative 72 divided by 4 is something, I don't know, off the top of my head. So then, not after they divided everything by 4, they did what? What does that mean right next to it? They multiplied it by 5. So when they multiply all those by 5, here's the resulting equation. And then they added those two together. Bye-bye, y's, left with just the x. Negative x equals 4. Well, when we're solving for a variable, it can't be negative. So if I change the negative x to a positive, to its opposite, then I had to change the right-hand side of the equation to its opposite. So positive 4 became negative 4. And then they took that, they chose one of these first equations right here that we started with in step 3 and plugged in x and then solved for y. So now we have our x and a y. So now that we have x and y, we can find z. They went back to one of these original equations that you first started with, and they chose the first one, I believe. They plugged in what they knew what x and y are, what we found x and y were, plugged it in, simplified, and solved for z. This is one problem. That is stinking crazy, isn't it? Like, oh my goodness. And I taught this before. Like, I taught this at last time I taught Algebra 2, I was at Geyer. So, and yeah, and it was a little different, but yeah, I taught this to them, and it was regular. But guess what? Turning page.
What is all that is? Matrix.
Okay, so who wants to do all that work that I just showed you? Who's ready to do all that algebra? No hands? Really? Okay. So that was method 1. Here's method 2 of solving that same system with 3 variables and 3 equations. We use the matrix system on our calculator. Okay? So the matrix system on our calculator, whoops, I'm trying to clear my calculator, sorry. You're going to put the coefficients, girls, you're going to put the coefficients into a matrix. Now, this isn't the matrix like the movie, okay? Matrix in the movie had, what's the only 2 numbers in that matrix? 0 and 1, okay? That's computer matrix. And that's called a binary code. We're not doing that. That's not our matrix. Huh?
Binary's easy though.
Binary code? My son he's really into that binary code stuff, but I don't know it. I know I did have to, in my Algebra 2 in high school, I remember taking matrices, and we had to get all 1s diagonal here and everything else 0s. So we had, yeah, it was crazy. That was interesting. But we're not even going to have to do that. You have this wonderful graphing calculator, okay? And here's our system. So what they're doing is that step 1, we're going to make 2 matrices. One is going to be the coefficient matrix, and our second is going to be the constant matrix. And I can't find my yellow highlighter, which I would like. Okay, it is. Constant matrix. So these are my constants, where they're getting the constants from. And then my coefficients are the numbers that are being multiplied to the variables. Okay, that's where they're getting all those numbers. So, like you can see, they have let's see, for the x, see how all the x's are in one column, y's are in a column, z's are in a column. Do you see that? That's how they have to be written in order to do this. Your equations have to be set up this way. So they took -2, -3, and 3 from the x values. Okay, those are the coefficients for the x. But then for the y's, it's 1, 2, negative 2. But if you notice in the first equation, there's not a number in front of y. Where did that 1 come from?
Where?
In the first equation right here, there's not a number in front of y.
Oh, it's
But they put 1.
because it's always just there. You just don't.
It's known. It's understood that when a variable is by itself, the coefficient is 1. Okay? What if there's no variable there at all? What if there's no y at all? It'd be 0. Thank you. Okay, and then our z's were 3, 1, and 3. And then here's our constant. So we already know the answer to this problem, but let's use this problem to practice our first matrix, okay? So we're going to follow these steps. First, it says to go to second matrix. Guys, the matrix button, see this x to the negative 1? That's my inverse button. So that's what I'm going to call inverse. I'm not going to say x to the negative 1 all the time. It's inverse. So you're going to hit second inverse. That's your matrix. So we're second inverse. It's just right underneath, right down here. Everybody there? Don't touch anything else yet. Alright, so now we're going to go over 2 times and select Edit Menu. So over and go to Edit. So we're going to select the matrix we're going to use. So our first matrix we're going to use is A. So hit 1. Then we have to enter the number of rows and columns. So look at this matrix right here. How many rows do we have? 3. How many columns do we have? 3. So we have a 3 by 3 matrix. Got it? Everybody put that in? Alright, hit enter. And now you can see that you put the right dimensions in, right? Now we can start typing in our numbers. Now if you start typing in and hit enter every time, it goes from left to right. So I'd have to type in -2, enter, see how it goes to the right, then 1. It doesn't go straight down in the columns. So put all those numbers in. Alright, so we have made our first matrix. This is matrix A. We need to do this all over again to make our second matrix, our constant matrix, right here. So again, hit second inverse to go back to the matrix menu.
Wait, do what?
Second, the inverse button. It's right under, it's that x to the negative 1. Now go over to edit, okay? We've already made matrix A, now let's make matrix B, so hit 2. And it should say matrix B on top. Now this one has how many rows?
3.
Has 3 rows, and how many columns? 1. So it's a 3 by 1. And now let's type in the numbers, which is going to be 20, 21, and -9. And we've made our second matrix. So now we're down here. Now we're going to solve. So after we've got our matrix together, our two matrices together, now it's time to solve them. So we created A and we created matrix B. Now we're going to calculate, and this is how we're going to do it. So how do we get here? Well, to get where it says matrix A, the inverse of that times matrix B, this is what we do. Let's hit second mode. Sorry guys. Second mode, and then I want you to hit second inverse. Everybody here? Hit the number 1, and it should come up matrix A, right, on your screen. We want the inverse of that, so just hit the inverse button. So now you have matrix A to the negative 1 power, correct? Now let's hit matrix B up there. So hit second inverse 2. And now we have matrix B. If you have this, hit enter and see what happens. So it goes in alphabetical order, X, Y, Z, from top to bottom. So that we can say that X equals negative 4, Y equals 3, and Z equals 3. That's what this is saying. Okay? So do you want to do it the algebra way, or do you want to do it this way?
This way.
Alright, so we have 3 more to practice with. And yes, we are doing that word problem at the bottom.
What word problem?
Oh my goodness. How many word problems have we done this year so far?
A lot.
Anybody? Anybody? None. We have done 0.
Because they nasty. Why are you doing this?
Oh, it makes you use your brain. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's look at example 2, and let's write our matrices on our paper before we actually put in our calculator. Okay. So matrix A. Zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Matrix A is our coefficient matrix, right? So let's look at our X. So let's make sure our equations are like they're supposed to be. X's are lined up, Y's are lined up, Z's are lined up, and our constants, right? And see our equal signs? See how they're all lined up together? We're good to go. So what's our coefficient of X? 1, 2, 1. Coefficients of Y? Coefficients of Z? Negative 1. Very good. 3. Very good. So there's our coefficient matrix. Now let's our constant matrix, which is what? 8, 4, and 7. 8, 4, and 7. So this is what we have to create these two matrices, okay? Well, what's nice is that we've already had the correct dimensions. It's a 3 by 3 still, correct? We just got to change the numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, did everybody get this? You changed all the numbers in the matrix A? Okay. Do you know how to get to matrix B? Second, inverse, over to edit, 2 this time. And then you go down, and then you change those numbers to 8, 4, and 7. I'm hitting enter after each time I press the number, okay? Alright, thumbs up if you have matrix A and matrix B done in your calculator. I want to make sure you all got it. If you don't have it, we are going to do this again. So make sure you're paying attention to keep up. Alright, now we're at the point to solve. So hit second mode. Let's clear that screen. So we're doing what it says right here. We want it to look like this on our screen so we can solve it. So we're going to hit second, inverse button, 1. It should say matrix A up there. And then you're going to do the inverse of that. And then second inverse 2. And hit enter. And we get x equals 1, y equals 3, and z equals. Are we getting the hang of this yet? Yes? No? If you're not, we're doing it again, okay?
What would we do if the thing had like a 0 there?
Okay, I'm showing you. I'm going to show you. Alright, here we go, guys. Let's look at example 3. So, remember, I'm going to make matrix A first. Oops, come on. Pick the one that doesn't want to write. We're going to make matrix A first. So, my first column is the x's. So, see, my equal signs are lined up, so I'm good to go. My x coefficients for x are what? 1. What's the next one? 2, because it's right there. See it? And then 3. Alright, my y coefficients? 2. Now, is there a y in the second equation? Nope, so that's going to be 0. And the third equation? Very good.
Wait, so z's are 0?
Yeah, because look, right here, there's no y in the second equation.
Okay.
That's why it's 0. Alright, now my z's, my coefficients for z's. -1, 1, and -2. Perfect. And then my B matrix. I'm running out of room here. My B matrix, 5. Alright, let's make these in our calculator. What do I press first? Second matrix. Then where do I go? Edit, 1. And then we go hit the arrow till you go get to the matrix and start typing in the new numbers, going from left to right. Alright, you're done? Now let's make matrix B. So second matrix, over to edit, 2. It's still a 3 by 1, so now we're just going to change those numbers. Where do I go once I've finished with matrix B? Second mode, clear it, make sure it's a clear screen. I just like to start with a clear screen. I don't know why, it's just me. And now how am I going to solve this? Very good. Second matrix 1.
And I hit that negative, the x1.
X to the -1, very good. And now what do I do?
Second matrix B, or 2.
2, which is the B. You got it. And enter. So if you're going to make a note card for the test, do you think you might need to put these steps on there?
No, but it's not hard to remember.
Yeah, true, but you just never know. You know, you get in a panic sometimes during tests. You know, your heart starts racing, you just forget things. So you just might, just in case.
Yeah,
So
what? Never happened to me.
Never?
My heart don't get to racing during the test.
Alright. This is like so simple, right? It's just knowing how to. So you realize what the calculator is doing for you is what they did on that first page when all that algebra stuff that we were looking at, eliminating the z and then solving for x and solving for y and then plugging it back in to one of the original equations. Your calculator is doing all that for you. So, all right, let's look at the last example here. And I'm going to draw a line right here. So, my A, matrix A. Now, I know we have A, B, and C, and that's okay. That's just like X, Y, and Z. And here we go. So, we're going to treat A as my X, B as my Y, and C as my Z. So, what are my coefficients for A? Okay. My coefficients for B, and my coefficients for C. Now my B matrix. (24, 0, 2). I'm running out of room. There we go. Alright, let's put those in. I don't know why I hit y equals, don't know. I'm clearing it. I'm going to hit second matrix, go over to edit. Hit 1, and then go down and put in those new numbers. Everybody have that? All right, I'm going to go to B now. Second matrix, over to edit, 2. And I have negative 24, 0, and 2. Now I'm going to hit second mode because I want to solve it. So I'm going to hit second matrix 1, inverse, second matrix 2, enter. Uh-oh. What happened? Did everybody get this?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
What?
I didn't get that.
Well, then you've typed in something wrong.
I got negative 6.81 and 1.
Mm-mm. This one is a no.
Let me see if I got the same thing.
Let's see, it's called no ordered triplet or triple. No ordered triple.
Oh yeah, I did forget that.
Basically no solution. Basically it's no solution. Okay? Alright. Are you ready for the word problem?
No.
It's not that bad. Actually, this one's not bad. I'm going to do one from your homework because those are a little bit more difficult. Okay. So, we're still dealing with those 3 equations, 3 variables. Got it, guys? But remember, our variables don't have to be x, y, z. They can be whatever we want them to be. So we have this girl, Minnie, who has 113 coins in her piggy bank, totaling $6.17. Guys, that's 2 equations right there, just let you know. She only has pennies, nickels, and quarters. She has 8 times as many nickels as pennies. How many of each coin is in Minnie's piggy bank, or bank contain? So, I like to put that P for pennies, N for nickels, Q for quarters. And I'm not talking about the value of them, I'm talking the physical number of coins we have for each penny, nickels, and quarters. Like how many pennies am I counting, how many nickels am I counting out, and how many quarters. So knowing that, our first equation is going to come from Minnie has 113 coins. Well, what makes up those 113 coins?
Pennies, nickels, and quarters.
That's right. Pennies plus nickels plus quarters equals 113, right? Total. Right? Whoops, sorry guys. Then it says they total $6.17. What can I do to this equation here to make it say equals $6.17? What would you do to each variable? We're talking about a value, right? So what's the value of a penny? But how do you show that in dollars? 0.01. So 0.01p plus 0.05n plus 0.25q equals $6.17. Y'all get that? So, because like if I wanted to know how much I have in quarters, I would take the number of quarters I have and multiply it by 25 cents, right? And same with nickels, same with pennies, and then I'd add them all together to see how much I have. And that's what we're doing right there. Alright, the last one is a little bit more difficult. So the last one says she has 8 times as many nickels as pennies. So does she have more pennies or nickels? She has more nickels. So I'm gonna come over here. She has more nickels. How many nickels does she have? What does it say? She has 8 more, or 8 times. 8 times. So 8 times pennies, right? But to put this in my system, N and P have to be on the same side of the equation, right? The equal sign. So I can let's move pennies, the term, over. How would I move 8p over to the left-hand side? I need to subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 8p from both sides. That leaves me with negative 8p plus n equals 0. That's the equation I'm going to put here. Okay? What am I missing? Quarters. So I'm going to try to line up my equal sign. This one's not lined up. I apologize. So negative 8p plus n equals 0. So here's my system, guys. That's not very good. 2. So now I have my matrix. I can make my matrices now. Matrix A is going to be 1, 0.01, and negative 8. My second column is going to be 1, 0.05, and 1. Quarters, my third column, is going to be 1, 0.25, and 0. Matrix B is going to be 113, $6.17, and 0. Are you good so far? Okay. So let's go ahead and put this in the calculator. So I'm going to go second matrix, go over to edit, hit 1, arrow down till I get to the matrix and start putting in my new numbers. So across, all the way across is 1 on the top, then I have 0.01, 0.05, 0.25. And then I have negative 8, 1, 0. And then I'm going to go second matrix again. Go over to edit, this time 2 to do my B. And I have 113. $6.17 and 0. Ben, why aren't you typing this?
I'm just writing all the commands.
You need to be practicing on the calculator, okay? It's a lot of calculator work, so writing it down is not going to help. Actually doing it on the calculator, that's what's going to help you. Alright, so I have my 2 matrices made. Second mode, I'm going to hit second matrix 1, inverse, second matrix 2, enter. So, I have how many pennies? 12 pennies. I have 96 nickels. And I have 5 quarters. Notice they're all whole numbers. Why no decimals? That's right. You can't have a half a penny. I mean, you could, but it's not going to be worth anything. Alright.